Diddy returns to the federal courtroom today here in New York for sentencing after being convicted on 2 counts on transportation and engaged prostitution. The judge sentenced Sean Diddy Combs to 4 years and 2 months in prison, citing a history of abusing women. The judge made it clear that a substantial sentence was required to send a message to abusers and victims alike that exploitation and violence against women, come on, judge, is met with real accountability. I mean, 4 years ain't that much, but come on, judge. Diddy has been sentenced to 50 months in prison, fined of $500,000, and ordered 5 years of supervised release. He was acquitted of racketeering and sex trafficking charges, but they did convict him on 2 lesser counts of transporting former girlfriends for prostitution. Now, speaking of prostitution, I really want to get into the interesting change of behavior in Yung Miami and Gina H. or Huynh. The courts have received several letters from Diddy's family, friends, acquaintances, even cellmates. But I really want to get into these 2 women and their letters because they've actually dated Diddy. You know, no one really dates Diddy, but they dated Diddy. And though I do want to hold a space to sympathize with these women as they may be victims to some degree, we can hold even victims accountable, right? Even victims are not perfect. Being a victim doesn't mean you're right about everything henceforth. And ultimately, these women are stuck in a cycle. If Diddy does come home, they will be back in those freak offs. Hey, I'm up. Yung Miami tweeted, "I'm up," after a dispute broke out between, I guess, her ex-best friend or her ex-group mate, JT, and Saucy Santana. Now, the girls are like, okay, Yung Miami, you've been real quiet. Yung Miami has really not said a peep since Diddy was arrested last year, September. So it was kind of surprising and disappointing to see that she wrote this letter to the judge. Let's go ahead and read it. She said, "Dear Your Honor, my name is Carisha Brownlee. I'm a mother, daughter, sister, and a hip-hop artist who has spent many years in the public eye. I want to be clear that I cannot speak on or defend anything that may have happened before I met Sean Combs." Now, some of this stuff happened while y'all was together too. It wasn't just before. But okay, she says, "I do not condone any wrongdoing. I can only speak from my personal experience and the man I've come to know over the past 4 years. For 3 of those years, I was in a public relationship with Sean. And during that time, I witnessed and came to know a different person than the one often portrayed. Behind the scenes, he was loving, genuine, supportive, and always encouraging. He motivated me, believed in me, and helped me grow both personally and professionally. I'm writing this letter because I believe it's important for the court to know the side of Sean that isn't always seen or spoken about. The man who poured into others, who gave opportunities, who led by example, and who loved deeply. He helped shape me both professionally and personally. He believed in me, pushed me to grow, and taught me how to be a better businesswoman. He helped me find balance between chasing my dreams and being present for my family, because that's what he did. No matter how busy he was, he never missed holidays or special moments with his family. One of the most meaningful memories was when he took me to my first Met Gala. One of the most meaningful was when he took me to my first Met Gala. It wasn't just about the event. It was about what it represented. Sean has always made it a priority to open doors for Black people, to make sure we are seen, heard, and valued in spaces where we've historically been excluded. That night reminded me that we belong in every room, at every table, and in every conversation. He constantly encouraged me and so many others to dream bigger, walk in confidence, and never shrink who we are to make others comfortable. He also gave me a voice by providing me a platform on his network to speak for the culture and connect with people in a way that was real and authentic. That opportunity changed the direction of my career and showed me the impact one person can have when they choose to uplift others. Beyond all of that, I've seen him give back to his community over and over again. In 2022, we fed the homeless together on Thanksgiving, but that was just one example. So there were moments where he gave quietly, privately, without cameras, because his heart genuinely wanted to help. I've also witnessed him doing inner work. He made the choice to check himself into anger management, start therapy, and commit to physical healing through therapy. That takes strength, humility, and self-awareness. He didn't do it for show. He did it because he did it because he was arrested. He was behind bars. He did it because he was behind bars. He did it because he wanted to grow and to become a better person. In my personal experience, Sean is not a danger or a threat to the community. He is a man of God, someone who uplifts, supports, and inspires those around him to be better mentally, physically, and spiritually. But more than anything, he's a father, and his kids are the ones who look up to him the most. They need him. His presence, love, and guidance matter deeply in their lives. I truly believe that he belongs at home with his family, the people who mean the most to him, and who continue to be his greatest source of support and strength. Judge, That's a good man. Thank you, girl. I can't. The city girls have fallen. The Eagles have fallen. Like, the city girls have fallen. Carisha, no, you did not write this letter. No, you did not have ChatGPT write this letter. Talking about some dear your honor. That's a good man, Savannah. Now, the problem with this, because I thought about it, right? Like, what if I knew someone personally who I knew them to be like this amazing person, but then I saw with proof and evidence how much of a devil this person actually was. I would actually thank God that I, didn't have to experience that side of them. But also, I would not support that person. Again, if there is proof, right? Video proof that this person was actually devilish to women behind the scenes, I can't stand behind. Carisha doesn't even realize, like, still to this day, that in her back and forth with Gina on Twitter a few years back, she accidentally acknowledged that Gina was one of Diddy's prostitutes. Do I need to pull up the tweets? Do I need to bring the receipts, girl? You know what? Love me some Married to Medicine. Hold on. Hey, Gina, you've been down bad ever since I came into the picture. You've been crying for a baby for 10 years. You've been around as a bee that eat and when he feel like it. You a eater. You the same bee that was crying on Tasha K because you wanted a baby. Poor sushi. If I wanted you to eat my meow, Diddy would have had you on your knees. You a eater. Carisha don't even realize to this day. She still doesn't even realize that she admitted that Diddy has prostitutes. And I don't even think Carisha sees herself as one of Diddy prostitutes, even though she really might be. If anything, she's a sugar baby, right? Diddy leveled her up. He definitely leveled her up in that way. But I knew it was some weird stuff going on. When Young Miami just, after some months or years of dating Diddy, she just came out and was like, I'm just a whore.
I'm really a whore. Like, I'm with a W. Like, I'm a whore.
But define that, though.
Like, I'm a whore. I'm really a whore. Like,
the fact that he said define that, because he's trying to find a silver lining of all of this. Like, this woman ain't just call herself a whore. And when Jason asked her, well, will you want your daughter to be a whore? No, she ain't gonna have that type of lifestyle. But that's something that you're praising and glorifying in this moment. She said she's a whore. She came out on her show and said, she like to get, she like golden showers. What is that man doing to you? What is that man doing to you? And so when all of this stuff came out about Diddy, I just started connecting the dots. I started connecting the dots and was like, oh yeah, Carisha was definitely down with the freak off. She's definitely one of Diddy's prostitutes. And she said it. She said, she said she's a whore. Proudly smiling. I'm a whore. I'm a whore. That's not cute. And you know it's not cute because when we ask you, is this something that if your daughter came to you and said, what would be your response? And your response is, not my daughter. And I don't want to talk about nobody's kids, but she mentioned it. And that's where adults need to hold themselves accountable in that regard. But the letter was crazy. And so now I want to get into Gina, because Gina, a piece of work too. This was the letter from Gina. Gina says, Dear Judge Subramanian, I know you are sentencing Sean Combs on Friday, and I have been thinking a lot about it. I saw in the press letters were submitted by many concerning the sentencing. No one asked me or told me to write this letter, but I felt my voice should be heard as I was identified as victim 3 in the case. Y'all remember that. I understand charges that were brought concerning me, including accusations of sex trafficking and prostitution. I cooperated fully with prosecutors. I met with them 3 times, answered their questions, and gave them all the information and evidence I had, including pictures, videos, and text messages from my phone. During those meetings, I felt pressured to feel like a victim. I told them I was not, but they insisted that I was, even when I expressed my truth otherwise. I understand they concluded that I had been sex trafficked and involved in forced prostitution, which Young Miami also proved years before. She said, if I wanted you on your knees, Diddy would have you on your knees. If I wanted you to eat, you would eat. You would eat, or you Diddy's eater, whether it's meow or you would eater. That's trafficking and okay. Words mean things. Okay. I did not engage in prostitution with him or otherwise. That would have been my testimony if called to stand. But you were called to the stand and you weren't answering your phone. Okay. I was subpoenaed and fully prepared to testify and answer all the questions truthfully, but I was informed by my lawyer that I would not be called to the stand, to take the stand. What are you talking about? I want to emphasize that I understand the seriousness of this case and the pain others may feel. I cannot speak for anyone but myself in terms of sentencing. I kindly ask that you consider releasing him back to his family. Y'all only want him released so that he can benefit you as an individual. You only want him released, Carisha, so that he can continue to fund your life. You only want him released, Gina, so that he can continue to pay your bills. Y'all don't really care about his kids and his family. This is an individual thing. Y'all are only doing this because, Carisha, you stayed silent the whole time. And so now that there's a possibility that he may be coming home soon, cha-ching. Oh, he might be coming home soon. Let me say something so that he can see that I was on his side. Gina, you was all the way, like you said, giving evidence. Let me keep reading. I keep mentioning his kids and y'all don't care about these kids. I understand throughout the process, he has been cooperative and respectful, including turning himself in. Throughout this process, he has never once reached out to me or made me feel uncomfortable in any way. I believe he will continue to be compliant with the court's conditions upon release. I understand that accountability is important, and I am not writing this to dismiss the gravity of the charges, nor to criticize anyone. I write to express my perspective as a so-called victim. But you called yourself a victim. When you went on Tasha K and interviewed with Tasha K unprovoked and shared your story on Tasha K, I don't know if it's still on her YouTube channel, verbal abuse, physical abuse, wouldn't let you have kids, forced abortions, kicking you in your pregnant belly, all types of, and now is so-called victim. I write to express how I felt during the investigation and trial and how I feel now waiting to hear the sentence. I felt compelled to share my own personal perspective honestly. I respectfully ask that you take my words into consideration when making your decision. Thank you for your time and for allowing me to be heard. And honestly, because I think by the time he got to Young Miami, we're in a different climate of society. Young Miami is a Black girl from the hood. She's also a famous person. He rebranded himself at this point as Brother Love. I probably would see Gina if she was telling the truth about the physical abuse. I don't think he physically abused Miami. I think he showed her a completely different financial bracket. He showed her the money. He showed her real money and what it was going to take to keep that money coming in. What it was going to take to keep those opportunities. And she went with it. With Gina and Cassie, I think there was a lot more of the trafficking and sexual abuse and physical violence. And so again, I want to hold space for these victims. But y'all also make it harder for the women who stand on theirs, who were abused, stood on the square, didn't go left, right, up, down. They said, this is what happened to me. I'm telling the courts, and stood on that. And now you're coming back out in defense of Diddy now, saying he's a good person, saying you weren't a victim, but you were pressured to feel like a victim. Victims go through a lot of psychological turmoil. They go through a lot of PTSD, Stockholm syndrome, where they miss their abusers, threats, allegedly. You know, some are saying that Diddy still has access to the outside world and he has been threatening some people, but something ain't right. Clearly, something's not right with the way Young Miami is moving, right? I'm up. Oh, Diddy getting sentenced and I'm up. Oh, you up now. You up. And the same with Gina. You know, her actions are not consistent. Now, there was another woman who is remaining anonymous who will also no longer be making a statement. So according to Newsweek, a woman referred to only by the name Mia during Sean Diddy Combs' trial was expected to make a witness impact statement during the sentencing today. However, she announced that she no longer wished to speak in court moments before the sentencing began. She has instead submitted a victim impact statement that prosecutors are asking the court to consider. Mia was a former personal assistant for Combs and says she was sexually assaulted by the rapper while working for him. She also said she witnessed his bouts of violence and cleaned up after his drug-fueled sex marathons. All right, y'all. So y'all let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. What are your thoughts on the way that some of these victims, now they're screaming that they're not victims, but what are some of your thoughts on the way that Gina and Young Miami are moving in this case? Do you see them as victims? What do you think is most likely going to happen if Diddy is released sooner rather than later? Child, y'all let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. Be sure to like and subscribe. I'll keep y'all updated on this case and I'll see you at the next one. Later. I'm up. I'm up.